Welcome to the Personal Perseverance Project. My name is David Atkins, retired New York State Trooper, $1 Million Direct Sales International Business Earner, author, and keynote motivational speaker, where each week I come here to help you break through your excuses so you can live a life up to your fullest potential. Let the project begin.
That is my mindset. I operate on a level of excellence, and you guys need to wake up every single day, and you need to operate on a level of excellence and create your masterpiece.
What's up, guys, and welcome to this week's episode of the Personal Perseverance Project. Wow, it's amazing how quick time flies by. That I've been coming to you pretty much from the first week of January this year, 2024, and once a week bringing you episodes, something of value, something to not only inspire, motivate, but really to empower you to live up to your fullest potential and to help you understand that really life has a funny way of challenging you once you set out on that path that you want to do something. Everything is 10 times harder than you expected. Every trial and tribulation you think you predicted turns into something 10 times more. Curveballs are around the corner. I like to say you're either in a problem, coming out of a problem, or there's a problem on the horizon tomorrow. But if your goal and your vision is big enough, and I hope you all have a vision for your life that's bigger than just going through the motions in life every single day, you're going to face trials and tribulations. You know, and I heard, before I kind of dive into it, I want to share with you guys today, I heard something this weekend that was pretty powerful because I'm a big believer. I speak on vision. I speak on the power of being able to close your eyes like I'm doing right now and see yourself achieving something before you're even there. Like me being a motivational speaker and me speaking on stages and getting in front of whether it's 50 people, 100 people, 500 people, 1,000 people. Like it's something that I can close my eyes and see myself accomplish, and that's the power of having a vision. But I heard this quote this weekend, or really not a quote, and it said, you know, everybody can see, and that's called sight. But when you close your eyes and what you see in your mind is called insight. And I was like, wow, that's powerful, because it's when you close your eyes and it's when you see yourself achieving great things. That's the insight. That's the vision. That's the power that you should need and want to keep yourself going every single day in your life. But today, you know, that was kind of a little bit of a tangent, but today I want to talk to you about exchanging your expectation for appreciation. And I'm going to say that again, learning to exchange expectation for appreciation. And the story I want to share with you, it was from a documentary that I watched about Henrik Lundqvist, the New York Rangers goalie. I don't know if there's any hockey fans out there, but Henrik Lundqvist, his entire career was the goalie for the New York Rangers for 15 years. He was the MVP for the Rangers, I think, 8 times. He's the only goalie in NHL history that I think the first 7 seasons he had over 30 wins. Absolutely like icon in New York City. He was called the King in New York City. Unbelievable goalie. And his story was, after 15 years, the Rangers were in a time where they were going to rebuild, and they were going to move on from Henrik Lundqvist, move on as a goalie. And they bought out his contract, and they decided they were going to rebuild. But he, I think he was 38 years old, was not done yet with his career. He still felt he had more to give. He still was a great, unbelievable goalie, and he had more to give. And he signed a 1-year contract with the Washington Capitals, who were already looking to win a Stanley Cup that year. Like, they had the goal, they had the team, they maybe had the one piece they wanted to add, which was getting a goalie. So Lundqvist signed 1-year contract, and he then went to get his physical done for the Washington Capitals, and they discovered that he had a leak in his heart. Specifically, he had a leak in the aorta valve, the main valve of his heart. And it was so severe that they said, you can't play hockey anymore. The chance of you taking a puck to the chest and it causing a rupture or something happening that can cause you your life, you need to get surgery, and you need to get surgery done like immediately. So he had open heart surgery, and he went through some really dark days. You know, he went through where he had this picture in his mind of, going to the Washington Capitals and getting back on the ice and going after the Stanley Cup, something that he always wanted to do that he didn't do. He won. He was in the Olympics. I believe he won an Olympic gold. Like, he had amazing accomplishments in his career, but he didn't win a Stanley Cup. And he pictured this roadmap of going to Washington and becoming their goalie and going after the Stanley Cup. And before he knew it, like in a matter of one doctor visit, just going for his routine physical, they discovered this heart that was leaking, and he had open heart surgery. And for the days that followed, instead of fighting for a Stanley Cup, his fight was just to live in his life. And then when he went through that stress, after about 40 days, he was back on the ice practicing again, and he was working real hard to get back that season. And then all of a sudden, he had shooting pain that went like near his chest, his shoulder, out his back. And he didn't know what it was. And he noticed that, when he was going upstairs, that, maybe he would get a little, not completely out of breath, but he had to breathe a little heavier. And he was due for his routine follow-up appointment with his doctors about his heart. And they went and looked at his heart, and he had inflammation around his entire heart. And they said, like, Henrik, like, listen, you need to shut it down. Like, you need to not only not be playing hockey, like, you can't do any other exercise other than, like, walking around your house for 3 to 5 months at minimum, and maybe a couple of years, because you have this inflammation around your entire heart. And that, if it's not taken care of, again, could be deadly. And he decided after a couple of months to hang up his skates and retire. And he went through really tough times. And when I was watching the documentary, and he had a life coach that he was working with from his hometown, I believe he was from Sweden. And his life coach basically said to him, he said, when you in your life, and this applies to us, and this is the whole thing that I share with you guys, exchanging expectation for appreciation. When you have this vision for your life, when you expect certain things to happen, he had a roadmap that his hockey career wasn't done. He was going to go to Washington. He was going to go after the Stanley Cup. And that doesn't happen. And life completely changes things around. It sets yourself up for disappointment. It sets yourself up for stress. It sets yourself up for being in a negative headspace. And even living a life where you're constantly expecting more, you are automatically putting yourself in a stressed state. You are automatically setting yourself to be stressed because you're expecting to achieve something. And he had to learn through a lot of, therapy. He had to learn a lot through healing to just be appreciative that with where he was. To be in the moment. He would go out, he went upstate, he had a house in upstate New York, and he would sit and he would just say he would focus in the distance and kind of meditate, and he would just stare at something like he did when he was a goalie. He said he used to stare in the distance at one spot in Madison Square Garden just to align and focus himself. And now he had to learn just to stare, like maybe stare at a leaf in a tree and just to be in that moment. And instead of constantly living in a state of I want more, I expect more, and instead exchange that for appreciation for where you are. For him, it was having life. For him to be appreciative of what he did accomplish. When you do that, it puts you in alignment to be content and satisfied with where you are. Because I could tell you personally, when I saw that, it moved me. Because I could think of times, so many times in my life. I can think of earlier this year, in January, there were a handful of speaking events that I went through multiple, say, emails, Zoom calls, narrowed down, say, from, hundreds of speakers to, 50 to 25 to 10 to 5 to like, David, it's down to you and somebody else. And we really think we'd love to have you as a speaker. And then one after the next fell through. And I'll tell you, I was expecting to get most of them. I was expecting to maybe get at least half of them. And I would say pretty much all of them fell through. And that set me up for disappointment. Why? Because I was expecting it to happen. Instead of appreciating, I've once heard, David, if you looked back at where you were 5 years ago, what you're doing right now, if you told yourself 5 years ago what you were doing right now, if I told myself 5 years ago when I was a captain, David, in 5 years from now, you're going to have a book that's published, you're going to be speaking and traveling all over the country, you're going to be in more demand, your speaking fees are going to go up, your business is going to be in between the first and second year is going to double, and it's going to continue to grow. If I knew that 5 years ago, I would be like, that's unbelievable. But what it is we get so caught up, like present day, that instead of being appreciative of how far we have already come, we get so caught up in our life looking how much further we want to go. So today, like, this message is shorter, and it's really about, I want to ask you, where are you in your life? Do you ever measure yourself from where you are now, from how far you've already come? Have you ever looked back and said, wow? Have you ever given yourself some grace in seeing how much you did accomplish? Or are you somebody that as soon as you accomplish something, you're looking on to the next thing? Because I've been guilty of it. As soon as I achieve one thing, I'm already thinking to the next thing. And sometimes we need to pause in our life and we need to appreciate what we have accomplished. We need to find gratitude in what we accomplished. We need to be focused on all of the things that we've done up into this very moment. And yes, we should have vision and we should have goals. That's important because that's the magnet for you to grow and get better. But along the way, you need to be in the moment and be happy with where you are. You know, I just spoke in Iowa at an event. I just spoke in Wyoming to the Wyoming Realtors. Today, I had 2 calls, pre-event calls that I do for 2 events. I'm doing an HR event in Nevada in a couple of weeks. I'm also going to be, where else am I going to be? I'm going to be in Atlanta. I'm going to be in the Carolinas. Then I'm going to Louisiana. So, like, I just had these calls today. And instead of me saying, you know, what's my next event going to be? What's my next booking going to be? I was able to just say, David, this is amazing. Like, I had 2 calls today. I have 2 more events coming up. I just had 2 amazing events just in the last 2 weeks. And I just need to be appreciative with where we are. So my thing to you, my challenge to you is, yes, I want you to go after your goals. I want you to go after your dreams. I want you to push yourself. I don't want you to accept your life for what it is. I want you to lead yourself to where you want to go. I want you to close your eyes and have that insight. I want you to picture yourself achieving more. But along the way, while you're doing that and you're working hard and you're overcoming obstacles, I want you to give yourself some grace and not just constantly expect more, but appreciate for what you already have. Find the gratitude in your life today for what you already have. So guys, that's my message today. I think it's profound. I think it's deep because I think we're always looking to what's next and what we can do more instead of really looking back on how far we've already come. So guys, that's my message to you guys this week on the Personal Perseverance Project. Guys, please, leave a comment, leave some feedback on the podcast, share it with friends. Let's spread the message so we can make this world a better place and we can help each and every one of you live your life up to your fullest potential. I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Personal Perseverance Project. My goal every single day is to help people live up to their fullest potential. So please share this episode, subscribe to my channel, and maybe even leave a review. Be sure to connect and follow me on all my social media channels. And if you would like more information about me potentially being a keynote speaker at your event, or maybe you want to work with me one-on-one as your private coach, be sure to go to my website at davidatkinsspeaks.com for more information. Thank you.